Imagine a vast empire, one that ruled with military precision, ingenuity and power, an empire that stood as the Aztecs' most formidable rival. Yet, unlike their more famous neighbors, their name has faded into the shadows of history. Who were they? The Purepecha, also known Tarascans, masters of metal, warriors of the West, and a people who defied one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. While the Aztecs conquered much of Mesoamerica, the Purepecha Empire stood strong. They were one of the few civilizations that the Aztecs could not defeat. What was their secret? How did they achieve this when so many others fell? Today, we uncover the forgotten story of the Purepecha Empire. The people who built a civilization capable of standing toe-to-toe with the Aztecs. We'll explore their military prowess, technological brilliance, and the strategy that made them untouchable. But to understand how the Purepecha defied the mighty Aztecs, we first need to unravel who they were. Beyond their warriors and fortifications lies a culture of innovation and mastery, where metal weapons clashed against stone and strategy triumphed over sheer numbers. To understand the Purepecha, we must go back to the 14th century when a visionary leader named Tarascans united the scattered tribes around Lake Pátzcuaro, creating a powerful, centralized state. From humble beginnings, they grew to control much of western Mexico, consolidating their power with military strength, trade, and a carefully constructed political system. This wasn't a simple tribal kingdom. By the time of their zenith, the Purepecha Empire stretched across 75,000 square kilometers, rivaling the territorial control of the Aztecs. But what truly set them apart was their mastery of technology, particularly in metallurgy. While the Aztecs crafted their weapons from obsidian, the Purepecha forged copper, bronze, and even iron tools, giving them a technological edge unmatched in Mesoamerica. Their capital, Tzintzuntzan, became the hub of this thriving empire, fortified and meticulously planned. It was a city of warriors and priests surrounded by the yakartas, keyhole-shaped pyramids that stood as symbols of their power and faith. Think of it. While the Aztecs expanded with brute force, the Purepecha relied on their strategic use of technology and fortifications. Their secret was not in numbers, but in innovation. And while their story may have faded, their resilience and brilliance left a legacy that still echoes today. Imagine two empires, one famed for its brutal expansion, the other quieter but no less powerful. While the Aztecs stormed through central Mexico, the Purepecha held firm in their fortified cities. But this was no passive resistance. This was a chess game, and the Purepecha played it brilliantly. The Aztecs, masters of conquest, could not penetrate the Purepecha defenses. In fact, they tried multiple times, and each time they were repelled. But how? How did this smaller, lesser-known empire hold off the mighty Aztecs? The answer lay in strategy. The Purepecha didn't rely on sheer force or numbers. They relied on their geographical advantage, their metallurgical expertise, and their fortified borders along the Lerma and Balsas rivers. These defenses weren't just physical, they were psychological. The Aztecs knew that breaching the Purepecha heartland would be costly. While the Aztecs were renowned for their massive armies and sacrificial warfare, the Purepecha fought with precision. They were a warrior society, yes, but one that prized calculated defense over reckless offense. Every hill, every river, and every fortress was part of a broader strategy to protect their people and their lands. But the Aztecs weren't just frustrated by walls and rivers. They were met with something they had never faced before in Mesoamerica: metal weapons. While their warriors wielded obsidian clubs and spears, the Purepecha had crafted something far stronger: bronze and copper tools that could break through Aztec armor. In the world of the Purepecha, technology wasn't just a tool for survival. It was their edge, their shield, and their sword. They were the metallurgists of Mesoamerica, masters of bronze and copper, long before their rivals could dream of such craftsmanship. This wasn't just technology, it was power, wielded by the hands of their skilled artisans. While the rest of Mesoamerica relied on stone and obsidian, the Purepecha had unlocked the secrets of metallurgy. Their weapons were not only stronger, they were symbols of their superiority, their unyielding resilience in the face of Aztec aggression. Picture this, a Purepecha warrior armed with a copper spear, facing down an Aztec wielding nothing more than a stone club. The difference wasn't just in strength, it was in precision, in durability. The Aztecs may have had the numbers, but the Purepecha had the tools to outlast them. Imagine the scene, the sun setting over a Purepecha fortress, with the sounds of hammers ringing out from the forge. While the Aztecs relied on their gods for victory, the Purepecha relied on the strength of their hands and the fire of their forges. They were not just warriors, they were creators, builders of weapons that outshone and outlasted their enemies. And it wasn't just about weapons. The Purepecha used their mastery of metallurgy to craft tools, ornaments and ceremonial items, objects of both utility and beauty. Their advancements in metalworking were unrivaled in Mesoamerica, shaping not just their wars but their culture. But what truly set them apart was their strategic use of these innovations. They didn't just make weapons, they made defenses. Their cities, like Tzintzuntzan, were fortified with walls of stone, guarded by warriors with metal weapons. These weren't just fortresses, they were symbols of a people who would not be conquered. While the Purepecha managed to fend off the might of the Aztecs, their greatest challenge was yet to come. In 1522, it wasn't the Aztecs that breached their walls, but the Spanish. Unlike their previous enemies, the Spanish brought something far deadlier than armies, guns, steel and disease. The end of the Purepecha Empire was not marked by conquest, but by diplomacy, betrayal and ultimately submission. Though the Purepecha were never conquered by the Aztecs, they fell to the Spanish without a single major battle. How? Through a careful balance of diplomacy and surrender, the last king of the Purepecha, Tangáxuan II, sought peace with the Spanish, but peace came at a cost. Tangáxuan II, seeing the destruction wrought upon the Aztec Empire, understood that resistance would be futile. And so, in a bid to save his people, he submitted to Spanish rule, offering gold, land and loyalty in exchange for mercy. But mercy was fleeting. Unlike the Aztecs, the Spanish had no interest in cultural exchange or mutual respect. They came to conquer, to convert and to exploit. For the Purepecha, whose defenses had held against the Aztecs for decades, the Spanish represented an entirely different kind of threat, a threat they could not outmaneuver. Tangáxuan's surrender did not guarantee his people's safety. After a brief rebellion and allegations of disloyalty, Tangáxuan II was executed by the Spanish in 1530, signaling the final collapse of the once great Purepecha Empire. Their lands were absorbed into the Spanish colony of New Spain, their culture suppressed and their cities left to ruin. The fall of the Purepecha Empire may have been swift, but their legacy endures. The Purepecha were not just warriors, they were builders, creators and innovators. They were a people who fought not just with weapons, but with wisdom and strategy, a people whose story deserves to be remembered. The Purepecha's greatest achievement wasn't just their resistance to the Aztecs, it was their ability to carve out a unique place in history, where they stood against the most powerful empires of their time. And though the world may have forgotten their name, their legacy lives on in the land they once called home. Today, the ruins of Tzintzuntzan stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten era. And as we uncover their story, we realize that the Purepecha are more than just a footnote in history. They are a testament to the strength of human resilience. They remind us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a people can choose to stand and fight, not just for survival but for their legacy. And so, as we walk among the ruins, one question lingers. What other forgotten empires lie buried beneath the sands of time? What other stories have we yet to uncover?